Hello, California, and welcome to this week's edition of Your Financial Compass, the show dedicated to helping you successfully navigate to and through your retirement. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio are two financial advisors from Bulman Wealth Group. We have Scott Bulman and Sean McAmoyle. We're so glad you're joining us today. We are going to be talking all about income engineering, meaning, do you know where your income is going to come from in retirement? You're going to want to stay with us to find out what it means to build a solid income plan for yourself. Scott and Sean, always good to be here with you. This is going to be a really fun conversation, isn't it?
It's so important. We all invest for income.
It's so
Whether
true.
It's income now or income later or...
Yep. It's all about income.
It's all about income.
Well, because when we stop working...
The ones, well, I don't want to reference that song. Never mind.
What? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, never mind.
Well, you were thinking there's no business like show business, and there's no flow like cash flow.
Oh, there you go.
Sean used to be in Vegas. He was a dancer and singer.
I'm a poet.
He was a
didn't even know it.
crooner back in his days in Oregon.
Well, if you're new to us, one of the fun things about this show, we are often told, is it's not your typical financial show. We like to have a lot of fun and joke around, but one thing you don't want to joke around with is your income in retirement. Again, once you stop working and you are no longer employed, guess what another word for that is? Unemployed, right? When you're retired. But you want to stay that way. It's so important because now it's up to you to make sure that you're going to generate a consistent, ongoing, steady stream of income that's going to last you throughout the rest of your life. So we want to share with you today about designing your income. Again, it's your portfolio that you've accumulated, but how do you turn that into the paycheck? So let's talk about, some of the foundations for investing for that monthly income. What is even monthly income investing?
Yeah. Well, I think you touched on it too. It's like, how do you replace your work paycheck with a paycheck from your investments or other sources of income? And I know we are joking, but in reality, we really do all invest for income. Whether if you're 40 years old, you think you're accumulating wealth and growth, but what you're really doing is trying to grow your money to create a large sum from which you can draw income from. And for folks who are making that really critical transition from working to retirement, whether that's a year, 2 years before retirement or the 1 or 2 years after retirement, very important to get that right. And then we meet a lot of clients that have been retired for a number of years, really on a budget, not living and enjoying their full retirement because they're not maximizing the income or the cash flow that they could because they just don't realize what tools are available, how much can they take. What we often find is that people think that they need to sell a principal or sell a little bit of their investments each month to create that monthly paycheck. But if done right and they have the right set of investments, those investments can create cash flow where the client doesn't have to sell principal to meet those income needs.
And I think this is the challenge too, especially because I know you work with a lot of folks who've been really good savers, right? And when you've been a good saver, it can be hard to flip the switch and become the spender and withdraw from these accounts and live off of them, yet that's what you're supposed to do, right? So there's a lot of key principles that go into doing this correctly.
Absolutely, and we always hammer this point, but part of it is having a plan. Maybe you don't have a fear of running out of money like a lot of folks do in retirement, but it still warrants, at least in our opinion, sitting down to look at an income plan. Sean kind of touched on it. Sometimes people are afraid, even if they don't realize it, maybe subconsciously afraid to spend extra money because, what if I'm around 20 more years and I'll run out of money? Well, if you see it in a plan and you see it in black and white, a lot of times it changes how you view it. And I think it gives you freedom to be like, well, I can spend 15 grand a year on vacation or what have you. So it just adds some clarity there. And another thing I want people to understand too is I get this question a lot as we're building a plan. It's like, well, how much can I get? Well, time out. How much do you need? Because you can't in one regard say, I want to leave a lot of money in my kids. I don't want to pay more in taxes. And then ask, well, how much can I get? It's like, well, how much do you need? If there's only, say you've got Social Security, maybe a pension, and we only need $2,000 more a month to cover all your needs, why would you take $4,000? You're just going to pay more in taxes. You can still take extra for vacation, what have you, but I think going back to the plan, understanding how much we need, then building towards that to cover that gap. And then we're not paying more in taxes, we're not being frivolous, and it just, sometimes we got to understand the whole need versus greed element of income planning.
And there's so many nuances that go into figuring out those numbers. Scott touched on a lot of them. What rate do you need? Because rate also equates to risk.
Right.
How much risk do you need or want to take? And having a deep conversation around that's important. Thinking about all their other sources of income kind of ties into, when do I take Social Security? And then the other question that we get into asking people about is your longevity. We ask about, how long did your parents live? Are they still alive? What was their health like? Do you have good DNA in your history? How's your health? Have you been taking good care of yourself? You know, we've been blessed with longer lives now with modern medicine. I don't want to say a curse, but the other side of that
challenge
coin,
of it, right?
The challenge is we have to make that money and the income, and it needs to be rising income because inflation.
Inflation,
and
yes.
taxes.
And I'm glad Sean brought that up, because for many years there's people we've talked to that have been retired 10, 15 years, but inflation's always been there, but a few years ago in 2022, it became like a household word. And when it jumped from 2.5% a year to over 9%, and I guarantee it had a lot of people raising eyebrows, like, well, coffee went up 27%, or how much is gas, or how much is groceries? So sometimes you need, even if you are retired now, it still warrants sitting down to plan out. It's like, are some of your investments growing enough to keep up with the pace of that if we're going to be around another 10, 15, 20 years? Because that inflation, they always say in health, blood pressure is a silent killer. With finances, I think inflation is a silent killer. It's the same version of it in the financial world.
It's a hidden tax,
correct?
Right? And you have to plan for it, because your cost of living, if it continues at that long-term historical rate of 3% per year, your cost of living is going to double every 24 years. With inflation having been higher, even that recently, your cost of living could easily double 2 or 3 times throughout your retirement. So a valid question is the plan you have in place accounting for that and taking that into consideration?
And it's one of those things, I think a lot of people are afraid to make the leap into retirement because they're not sure how to pay themselves, as Sean was saying earlier, because they're so used to having someone pay them. So if you're at home watching this, you have that fear, you're certainly not alone. There's already a fear. They do polls every year of what's the number one fear of retirees. Death is number 2. Number 1 is doing a TV show. Number 3. Number 1 is running out of money.
Yes.
So if that is you, again, you're not alone. We can have a conversation to see what that means for you. Like, how do I address this fear? How do I address this problem? You can call the number below. We'll do a complimentary financial compass review. Maybe an income plan is the most important thing in your mind. Maybe leaving as much of your kids is, or maybe paying too much, or setting up tax planning, all these different things. If there's anything financially related that you have questions on or concerns on, or you have an advisor you don't ever hear from them, call the number below. We'll set up a time to talk and see if we can shed some light and add some clarity and potentially some value.
Awesome. Scott, Sean, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call to schedule your complimentary financial compass review is there for you on the bottom of your screen. Simply dial 888-970-4685. Or if you'd rather connect online, we've got you covered. Simply grab your smartphone. You can click that QR code there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from Bulman Wealth Group will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary review that way as well. When we come back, we're going to be diving more deeply into some of the tools that can be used to help you generate that sustainable income that you can't outlive. Stay with us to find out what those are right after this.
The team at Bulman Wealth Group is exceptional, from our advisor team to our service team, which is, I think, second to none. But it all revolves around the idea that our clients are vitally important.
One of the ways I feel like we differentiate ourselves is we want a relationship with our clients. And I really learned that from Chris. Is there's so many dollars and cents and all this information to know, but at the end of the day, it's got to be a trust and a like, because we're partnering with somebody. So I want them to think a trip to see me is not a trip to the DMV or to the dentist, but it's just being able to share in the good times and be available to be a resource in the bad times too.
Our clients are our friends. I really view them as part of our family because we go through some pretty significant life events. So it's really being a partner with our clients through all those life events and through the life journey.
As Americans, we strive for better. Better house, better career, to better the lives of our kids. Better's become the American way. But when it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? More income? flexible lifestyle, better solutions. A better retirement begins with a plan. To get your complimentary written financial plan, call the number you see here. You only retire once. This is your opportunity. Plan for better.
Welcome back. You're watching Your Financial Compass, brought to you by the team of Bulman Wealth Group. I'm Kristen Oakley here with financial advisors Scott and Sean, and we're so glad you're joining us today. If you're just tuning in, we just stressed the importance of having a solid income plan in place for yourself. When you get to retirement, it's not so much about the lump sum, it's all about the income. How are you going to take what you have accumulated and worked so hard for and make sure that it can be turned into a reliable, ongoing, steady stream of income that can last you for the rest of your life? So guys, it's time to get practical, right? We want to be practical on the show. We want to offer...
This is the part where it gets boring too.
No,
So.
no, it doesn't. You make
your
it fun.
seat stuff.
You always make it fun. But we got to talk about some of the tools and vehicles that exist in order to help folks generate their monthly income goal. So, Sean, let's start with you. I know that there's a lot of different, folks are typically familiar with their portfolios. They might have stocks and bonds, but let's break it down. What goes into building a solid income plan?
Well, we'll reach deep into the toolbox and start pulling some
Or
things out.
Sean in his fanny pack. He likes his fanny pack.
They're coming back to the fanny pack.
They
Because he
are,
brought
right?
them back
Yeah.
in style. Thank you, Sean.
So we think of a risk continuum on the short end, low risk, low return, all the way up to along the continuum. But let's start with CDs, money markets, really safe investments that pay a pretty low rate, right? And you'd be surprised how many folks we meet that is one of their key sources of income that they have. When they enter retirement, they tend to, it's counterintuitive, but they tend to get too conservative. And when you factor in inflation, so even if right now, money markets are paying around 4% or so, historically maybe 3.5%. But when you take inflation out, which historically has been about 3.5%, you take some taxes out, because in most cases you have to pay taxes based on the accounts they're in, you're really at a negative real return. You're actually losing money very slowly and safely. But those investments do have their place in a financial plan, mainly with their emergency money. It's the right amount, 6 to 12 months of expenses, but it's there if they need a new roof on the house, an unexpected expense comes up. It prevents them from having to sell the other investments that are in their longer term financial plan, and therefore it plays a really important role.
For sure. All right, so we start with that. Moving on, what are some of the other tools in the toolbox?
Yeah, one that we consider in many instances, it's not a fit in every instance, but especially if income is a fear, is annuities. And
The right kind of
The right
annuities.
kind of annuities.
Yes.
There's different types, but there are types of annuities that we'll use from time to time that essentially I call an income annuity or a pension annuity. So really what that means is you give a company a certain amount of money, and you can figure out that if you turn it on in 2 years, 3 years, or turn on this income stream, that there's some that it can actually guarantee you a certain amount. Like, hey, if I turn this on in 4 years of deferral, so I give it to this company and in 4 years I'm going to turn on the income stream, they'll actually tell you what that amount's going to be. And there's very few things you can look at in life and be, wow, this is going to come in and something to look forward to. And another thing with those annuities is it's one of the only tools where you can run out of money, but you can never run out of income. So what does that mean? So you give company XYZ a certain amount of money, you turn on this income stream, and it pays you out X amount of money every month. It's going to pay you forever. So if you live to 105, guess what? You're on the insurance company's dime for a while. So that's a wonderful place to be. So that is always something, or not always, but it is something that we look into when we're trying to create income. And it's one of the, like we said, you can run out of money, but you can't run out of income, because that company, that insurance company is on the hook to pay you for as long as you're around.
It's a contractual obligation.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure. Well, now we need to also talk about dividend-paying stocks. I know you work with a lot of folks that enjoy stock picking. They enjoy that aspect of it. Talk about how that can fit into generating income.
It really is a very important part of a financial plan. Dividend-paying stocks, or what we call blue chip stocks, or value, matured, established companies that that return a portion of their profits each year to their shareholders in the form of a dividend. So it's kind of an income and a growth strategy together. So you're getting a quarterly dividend from these good quality companies that you can just kind of count on predictably. But you also get the opportunity for those companies to grow in value, just to hedge against inflation. We also kind of focus in on what's called the aristocrats. Those are the top 60 companies in the S&P 500 that have a history of raising their dividend every year for the past 25 years. So you're getting a pay increase every year from those dividends, and you have the opportunity for long-term safe growth, conservative growth, to be an additional hedge against inflation. So they play really an important role in an income plan.
For sure. I remember when we switched my in-laws finally over to dividend-paying stocks outside of the mutual funds they had, and it's just so cute to see how excited they get every month when their income need is met, but now they've got these dividends that they're like, oh, we can actually do more with them, right? It's exciting.
They can buy you better Christmas gifts on the holidays. Thanks,
we
Mom.
encourage it to spend it on them, but yes, we're like, Mama, you can afford to go get a pedicure. It's okay, right? Well, let's talk about some other options, because I know there's other tools available.
In California, many folks will have like a rental property, and a lot of times it's for to get some kind of stream of income. But at the same time, you might not want to be a landlord, and like I don't want to deal with someone like Sean, destroying my house. So there are things called REITs. It's an acronym, REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. And there's different types. There's private ones that you can invest into, and then publicly traded ones. But essentially, the in a nutshell, is a REIT. Say it's a REIT fund, Real Estate Investment Trust fund, is it's instead of being invested in one property, it might be a number of commercial properties or different regular mortgages around the country, so it kind of diversifies it, but that can pay a stream of income. So when you really boil it down, there's a lot of stones to turn to create income that go beyond just the few typical things that everyone thinks of. And again, that's one of the reasons someone sits down to talk with advisors like us, is to entertain those ideas and see what's out there and what may or may not be a right fit, because obviously not everyone fits every situation.
Yes, for sure. Go ahead.
Well, we've been talking about these tools in the toolbox individually, but they all fit together in a plan. I was reminded just the other day that in 1983, government bonds were paying 14%.
Wow. Yeah.
Banks were giving, paying CDs at 14% and a toaster oven.
George Foreman Grill wasn't around yet.
Right.
But inflation was very high now. But for an investor who put most of their money in something like that, something they thought was safe and paying a very good rate at 14%, today is paying a little over 4%. And during that 28-year period or so, 25-year period, prices have only gone up, almost double during that period of time.
I think the biggest takeaway from this segment is that there's so much more out there than just a 401k. There's so much more out there than just an IRA. And I think so many folks, and there's nothing wrong with this, most of Americans' wealth has been accumulated in those types of accounts. But the good news is that you have more control over your money, especially once you're over age 59 and a half. You have options, right? You don't just have to leave it in those accounts.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe as you're working, all you have is a 401k, so you got $1 million. Well, at the same time, not all of it has to be invested in the same thing. You might partition off a section to be, this is going to be the income part, or the safe part, or this is going to be the more aggressive part. But it all starts with a conversation. So if you have fears around this, fears around income, you're not alone. I would argue maybe the most important thing we do as advisors is create an income plan. How do all these pieces fit together to address that issue? And what if you're going to live longer, or what prices are going up? Schedule a call, and that starts with the number below. And we can set up a time. We call it the Financial Compass Review. And we can talk about all of your different financial concerns, the things you've done well, maybe things you wish you had done better, but how does it all fit together, and what does it mean moving forward? So call the number. We'd be happy to chat with you.
Awesome. Scott, Sean, thank you. The best way for you to discover what tools would be right for you is by coming in and sitting down in the financial planning environment, and it costs you nothing. So we encourage you to reach out and schedule your complimentary Financial Compass Review today. That number to call is 888-970-4685, or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. We'll be back with more on this important conversation regarding your income plan for retirement right after this.
Have you considered refinancing your retirement? When interest rates are low, you might be able to refinance your homes, your car loans, and even your credit card rates because it could help you keep more of your own money each month. But what happens when interest rates go up? It may make sense to refinance your retirement. Higher interest rates could provide income opportunities that you may not be aware of. What works for your portfolio during low interest rates may not work for you in a high interest rate environment. So, don't look down at today's higher interest rates. Instead, find out if a retirement refi could work better for you. Call the number you see here or scan the QR code below to schedule your complimentary Refi Your Retirement review today.
Did you ever think your own retirement would be shared with our government? It's true. Your traditional 401k, IRA, pension, or similar retirement accounts are in partnership with the IRS. Simply put, they want their tax dollars, and you have them. With our latest tax calculator, you can plug in your own number while sitting at home. To find out what your future tax liability might be, scan the QR code or go to BulmanTaxBill.com.
Welcome back to Your Financial Compass, where today Scott and Sean and I have been discussing the importance of having a solid income plan for your retirement. The question we really want you to ask yourself is, do you know where your income is going to come from each month? Are you confident you have enough that is going to meet your needs? And not just that, but enable folks to enjoy their retirement, right? And that they can spend, and you can spend that money now with the confidence that you won't run out in the future. So in the last segment, you guys did such a great job of explaining all the different tools that are available. How do you put this all together for folks?
Throw darts at a dartboard.
No,
and
you
hope for the
don't.
best. Sean
No,
does.
you
I
don't.
don't do that. He does. So I think you said it very well here a second ago, is the confidence, is once you actually see all of these pieces fit together, to see how much, where the money's coming from, and in most instances as we create a retirement income plan, to see, wow, we run out of simulation and see we show it at age 95, you're gonna have a lot of money left. What does that tell us? Well, you can probably spend more. Knowing that you can spend more, there's been a lot of times that I've told clients, why are you being so guilty? You have the money, you saved it for a reason. Go enjoy it. The plan works.
Yeah.
No matter what, if you increase your expenses, we'll run simulations that if you increase your expenditures by 15% a year, it still works. How liberating is that? And sometimes old habits die hard, but it can give you the permission to break that boundary. Be like, you know what, I did save this money. That's part of the reason it's there. Enjoy it. Life is short. Why, you don't want to end up on your deathbed with all this money and like, wow, I wish I would have spent more. So sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, that's
but
important.
spend more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with that plan, again, because folks are so used to getting a paycheck when you're working, right? Maybe you're used to getting paid every 2 weeks or at least once a month. This is the thing, it needs to be scheduled in retirement, right? You need to know where that income's coming from and how often you're gonna receive it.
Well, I'll take it even to a different level in terms of which accounts do you draw the money from?
Yes.
If we're doing our job right, clients will have what's called a taxable account. It could be their emergency money, their income account. This is titled in their individual name, trust name, a joint name. It's not an IRA. Not qualified money.
Right.
Then you've got tax-deferred, that's your traditional 401k and IRA accounts. And then hopefully you have a tax-free account, that's your Roth IRA, perhaps cash value that you have in your life insurance policy. But which accounts you draw from first can have a huge impact on their overall financial plan. We just ran a study. We had two 62-year-olds. They both had $700,000 in their combined portfolio through all the different accounts. They were taking $20,000 a year to fill an income gap for a 28-year period from 62 to age 90. The one client who was taking money out of the taxable account first, meaning the joint account first or the trust account, versus the other person who took money out of their tax-deferred accounts first. The one who took money out of their taxable, the joint account, individual account first, at age 90 had hundreds of thousands of dollars more. And that's where I think the value that we play, to be able to run those scenarios
Yep.
and advise clients which account should we draw from first to create that income can have a very material effect on their wealth.
For sure.
And another thing when it comes to, say, working with someone like us is a couple things I want to shed light on is as we create a plan, say an income plan, you don't just set it once
And
at
forget
retirement and forget it.
Right.
Life changes. Kids are getting married, or you're going to move, or you're going to travel more over a certain period of time, or all these different elements. We think of it like this. It's like a living organism, this plan, and we need to adjust. We need to change it as your life changes.
Yep.
And if you can say these scenarios pop up and everything still works out fine, wow, maybe you can buy that vacation home, or maybe you shouldn't. But another thing too is a lot of clients will ask before they start working with us is like, well, how do I get the money? And you know, with Sean's clients, they need to write like a essay to him, and he either says yay or nay. But most of our clients, we can structure it where their accounts are linked to their bank account. And just to hey, what day of the month do you want it? Okay, it's going to come on the 10th. How much taxes are we withholding? How much spendable dollars do you need? And we can just have it like almost as we become their help pay them. We're not their employer, but we help distribute it. So it's one less thing to worry about. It's like, hey, I know every 10th of the month I'm getting $4,000 spendable, and no matter what, it's coming.
They can budget, they can make decisions, they can enjoy their life.
For sure.
Correct.
Well, I think this is why people love their Social Security check, right? They love, if they have a pension, they love it because they know, okay, I have the guaranteed amount, it's going to come to my bank account every single month. You're almost setting up a personal pension, if you will, for folks when you're building that income plan, and there's such peace of mind that comes from that. So I know we only have less than a minute in today's show, but what words of encouragement would you leave to someone who's been watching going, yeah, I don't have this kind of plan in place, but I know that I need one?
Well, I think it applies. We all invest for income. So whether you're younger and you're trying to grow your wealth, it's important to talk to us. If you're in that first couple of years of retirement, before or after, you should really talk to us. And if you're in retirement and you don't feel like you're really maximizing your portfolio to get the income to enjoy your retirement, you need to talk to us.
Absolutely. Well said. Well, Scott, Sean, thank you so much. And to our viewers at home, thanks for watching. That number to call so that you can talk to the team of Bulman Wealth Group and get your questions answered and on your way to building an income plan, 888-970-4685. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time here on Your Financial Compass.